Alala. Alala. There we go. Something like that. What you doing here, little one? What was last month? April. We're in May now. May flowers, rain showers, right? Okay, yeah, but April, man, I was like writing the list for all the stuff I watched and mainly listened. I listened to a shit ton of music in April, and I was scared of like leaving stuff out, so I just like kept going back and back. And I mean, like, I'm kind of dreading this because I feel like it's gonna be very long, but I don't know. I'm gonna try to kind of keep it to like essential stuff. But yeah, so preamble over. We're talking about April. Starting off with the Naked Gun, the Seth MacFarlane one that came out last year. You know, I got a complicated history with old Seth, with old Sethy boy, because you know, I'll talk shit about Family Guy. I'll talk shit about, yeah, you know, mainly just Family Guy, but it is very funny a lot of the time. American Dad, also very funny, pretty consistently. You know, so truthfully, I really got no problem with Seth MacFarlane, honestly. But you know, I'm just like so in this kind of like I don't know what you would call it. I don't know, some fucking weird ass like hipster denial thing where it's like I can't admit when something's really funny to me a lot of the time because it's quite stupid. But I don't know, like obviously like it's still funny, so who really gives a shit? But Naked Gun, same thing. Like it's weird because I actually think Seth MacFarlane is like quite you know, quite witty a lot of the time, honestly, and he can be quite funny. Obviously he's got some duds. We're not going to talk about the major one that we're all thinking of, but this movie I think works for the most part, and it's kind of nice too because you don't need to like watch the originals, or you don't need to have watched the original to like really get this. It just kind of stands on its own. It's doing its own thing. Very funny, kind of like joke a minute sort of thing. And with something like that, it's nice because, well, obviously since there's like so many jokes coming at you, you just kind of like pick and choose which ones are like especially funny, because there are a couple that aren't like that, you know, like that humorous. There's a bunch of like mosquitoes around me. There's not a lot that are like quite like funny, but the ones that are funny do kind of hit. And like a lot of like the visual gags, I think personally were the ones that were most funny to me. Just like small background elements. Like one of the jokes I liked, it's pretty early on, is just like the amount of coffee that they have at the police station. Like I think like literally every single like corner he turns, he's getting like handed like a new cup of coffee, and you know, he's just drinking it. Just dumb shit like that, honestly. Just like really small jokes that are just like kind of funny in moments. It does kind of have the Family Guy issue at times where like bits go on like a little too long. Like I think the whole bit where him and the woman are like in the cabin and like the snowman comes to life and stuff like that. I think that bit goes on a little too long, but it's still quite humorous. Like initially, it just sort of drags a bit, in my opinion. But still pretty funny. But yeah, so that was Naked Gun. I guess like a kind of soft recommendation thing, or honestly, like I don't think I'd ever watched it again, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I watched Along Came Polly, Jennifer Aniston and Ben Stiller, kind of romance flick. It's weird. I feel like a lot of these. I don't know what you would call them really, or I guess like kind of like down on your luck kind of guy type trope in like rom-com sort of stuff. It's weird because it always starts and he's kind of like the guy who's a bit more like straight-laced, you know what I mean? Like he feels like he's doing everything right, like, oh, you know, I got the job, I'm getting like married to the woman of my dreams sort of thing, but then he gets cheated on. I feel like I've seen that happen at least like 3 or 4 times in like rom-com stuff. Obviously I can't pin it now. And then whenever I do think about it, it's usually for like drama stuff as well. Like there's that one movie with, what's his name? Nick, the fox from Jason Bateman. There you go. With Jason Bateman and Adam Driver. But that movie starts off like that as well, if I remember. Obviously that's not a rom-com, it's more like a family drama sort of thing, but it again, like that trope is present for whatever reason. And you know, in that movie too, Jason Bateman's down on his luck, but in this one, yeah, kind of same thing. You know, he's a bit down on his luck. He felt like he did everything right in life and he kind of got screwed over a bit. There's a joke there. Yeah, so he gets screwed over a bit, and then, you know, he goes out, and, you know, he's living on his own again, like separated from his wife. But during that time, he meets up with an old like classmate, and she's a bit more like loose lifestyle sort of thing. So you just have like the polar opposites, you know what I mean? And she eventually kind of like loosens him up, sort of thing. Because obviously, like that sort of lifestyle realistically is a bit more appealing. You know what I mean? Like this shit ain't that serious. A lot of the time, that's usually sort of like the theme in these movies. It's, you know, just like kind of do what makes you happy. You know what I mean? You can kind of feel it whenever it's there. So, you know, just go for it and don't necessarily think about consequences and whatnot. And, you know, for this, it's a bit more fitting because Ben Stiller's job, he's like a, what's the word? Like an analyst, or like an insurance kind of person. Like he basically just does the analytics for like people who are in like potential dangers and like gives them like insurance quotes or whatever. So I mean, that's pretty much it. Quite simple, funny at times. Again, I'm kind of a sucker for like rom-com stuff, despite them all being kind of formulaic, and I was like seeing the direction a lot of this stuff was going, but it's still enjoyable. It's weird, I kind of give like Ben Stiller a bit of shit as well, but I tend to quite like him, and this movie has a moment in it, again, like kind of capturing that theme of, you know, like live your life and be happy, essentially. But I know he directed that movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, right? Maybe I'm mistaken. But that movie as well, I think, has a theme sort of in vein with that, you know, where he's a bit more like straight-laced to begin with, and then, you know, like kind of learns to loosen up and starts living his life. Or maybe like in this kind of like deeper world of his, he's a bit more of like a creative, free spirit, but he feels a bit like trapped by, you know, the culture as a whole, you know, conformity, right? No, but there's a really great moment where his father, who is like kind of like a quiet guy throughout the movie, where like the father starts like talking a bit to Philip Seymour Hoffman's character about sort of like letting go of your past and like living for what's ahead of you, basically doing the things that make you happy, as well as, you know, like constantly working forward and maybe finding purpose, or even then just kind of like enjoying stuff. But Philip Seymour Hoffman is also in this movie, and he's also very funny in it. It's kind of nice to see him in a comedic role, and in the same way, like seeing Giancarlo Esposito in a comedic role is really cool too. Just because, you know, they kind of get like casted in these roles. Philip Seymour Hoffman, not so much so. He has like very light comedic roles, but I feel like when people think of him, or, you know, thought of him, he's always a bit more like serious. You know what I mean? And he's a damn good actor. So shout out to him. And and then obviously I like Jennifer Aniston's character a lot in this as well. Very good, just solid movie, honestly. There's a bit in it that I was thinking of, but now I'm completely blanking on. Can't remember it. But no, just like solid all around. I liked it a lot. There's also a couple like bits in the movie that I think are good, especially for like showing that like Ben Stiller's character is like kind of breaking out of his shell a little bit. I feel like the kind of evolution of like that arc is like very well defined for the most part, and obviously it's more centered on him. But then I guess like diving a bit into like Jennifer Aniston's character, just the fact that, you know, you don't want to be like tied to anything or anyone really, and she sort of jumps around. And I mean, it's a nice lifestyle, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like some people at times want roots somewhere. You know what I mean? Like they want to be somewhere where they can be comfortable and be around people who love them. And I don't know, but still, a really good movie. Or, you know, not really good, but, you know, just like solid, right? For like a watch. Maybe you're just like hanging out and you just kind of need something, but very funny as well. Watched Hoppers, the new Disney movie. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I watched it twice in the same day, sort of thing. That's how much I kind of liked it. Sorry, I keep like freaking itching myself again, the mosquitoes. But no, Hoppers, and enjoyed it immensely. Very pretty looking movie, honestly. It's weird. I think this new direction that Disney is going with, just like kind of being a bit more like overly animated in places, I think is really, really cool. And much needed, man. I feel like their competition is just like, like ahead of them in that term. Because I mean, like Disney animation stuff, I still think looks really, really good, but it's quite simple, and simple and cute, obviously, right? And this movie is like quite like simple and cute at its like sort of roots, but I think like the kind of like hook to it ends up being like immensely funny. Do I have one? Ends up being like immensely funny, and like obviously the whole like hopper technology thing, I like the way they describe it. They sort of make the joke and they try to like simplify it like for the audience, because it's one of those things too where I mean in a movie like this, like because like you can look at the technology and be like, oh, that's fucking stupid, like whatever, you know what I mean, but like at the same time it's a fucking movie. So the way they simplify it, the joke they use, it's like, yeah, we put, you know, this in this, like this in this, like the human brain into the animal like robotic body. Again, just trying to simplify it and just say, hey, this is a movie, this is our premise, it's meant to be kind of fun so we can talk about these other things, mainly environmentalism, the importance of diplomacy, I guess, which I thought were really good themes too. And then also like minor themes, I guess, about like anger management kind of thing. Well, not necessarily anger management, but more so like controlling yourself and being composed, which ties into the themes of diplomacy as well, right? I think it's very important to be emotional and to believe in stuff, and you know, to work to make change where you want change. And again, like the emotion is what drives you, right? And so the emotion is important, but you can't let the emotion sort of like overwhelm and take over, because then that ruins the idea of communicating with other people and working for solutions, right? Which I think was portrayed perfectly in this movie. I enjoyed that theme and the way it was explored, and then just other things too, I guess, like the kind of like idea of like the complexity of like situations, because obviously with the main character, why am I blanking on her name? It's gonna come to me, I swear. Man, no, I'm gonna look it up. Mabel. Her name was Mabel. Man, I felt it coming to me. I don't know. Like sometimes with things like these, I wish I wrote them down, but I just forget. No, but Mabel. Yeah. So her character, she's sort of like a kind of like younger, like environmentalist type person, but obviously this like area of nature, like the Glen, is like really important to her. It's tied to her grandmother. So obviously she wants to save it, but I feel like she's obviously being young, a bit ignorant to like how things like work on like a larger scale. Obviously she feels like it's very simple, the sort of oh, this guy, the mayor or whatever, is the bad guy, and I gotta stop him if I want to save the Glen. You know what I mean? But again, like going back to this idea of diplomacy, you have to be willing to communicate with people like these. I mean, because like that's another point too that I think is like quite interesting as well, because I mean with the people that we disagree with, it's easy to kind of paint them as villains. But then you realize that some of them like have this like inner life, and you know, communicating with them and you know in general with people gives you an understanding of them, and you know that helps you just like work through problems, right? Yeah, so I thought that was done well. And then obviously the other thing too is like it's like a dual villain kind of thing, because initially I think you know they're trying to make the mayor the kind of villain, but then you realize it's like, oh well, you know, when you think about it on a larger scale, the only reason why he's like doing this whole construction project is to like enrich the city that they live in. You know what I mean? Obviously, like the construction itself brings in jobs. Being able to like you know be transported places allows people to work jobs and stuff like that. So kind of like a capitalist thing. I don't know. Like me personally, I don't really agree with it, but it's very easy to see the perspective once you start thinking about it a little more than a few seconds, right? Again, I don't completely agree with it, and I would rather you know nature exist, but that's a personal thing. No, because then the real villain ends up being the bug, and that's sort of like a funny like concept in and of itself. Like because that's another thing too. You know what I mean? You can have the sort of like fake villain, like oh he actually has like a deep like kind of backstory, not that deep, but like you know like a backstory, and he's a person too sort of thing, which I think Disney kind of gets like a bit of like flack for, right? Having the villains that are trying to make you like empathize with them in some type of way. But for this, like having the two separate villains, because I mean like the mayor guy isn't really a villain per se. He's like an initially like a sort of antagonist, but then like he ends up being like a kind of ally. And then the bug, the caterpillar ends up being the villain, and that's funny too, because they try to like appeal to like a kind of humanity within him, but well, one, he's a fucking bug, and then two, the way they subvert it is very funny, because Mabel was trying to like again like talk to him, diplomacy, right, and like really resonate with him and like make him like feel something, and make it known to him that she's sorry for what she did, and that they can like still be connected and work something out. But then like some people are just like fucking evil, honestly. That's another thing too that I kind of like that they brought up. Some people are just fucking evil, and if you can get rid of them, wink wink. I'm joking, sort of. No, but all that stuff too was like immensely funny as well. Like all like the pawn rule stuff, all of that was very funny, and I liked all the animals. And again, like that little technique they do to sort of like shift like the perspective of like when like somebody's a hopper, or like when you're able to like communicate with the animals and stuff like that. Obviously, like giving the animals kind of more like humanistic features whenever you're able to like see and communicate them. But then obviously for the people who can't, like they just see like the animals with like beady black eyes and stuff. I think it's pretty funny. No, but the whole movie, and like especially the way the animals move and stuff like that, all of it like super creative, honestly. Great stuff. I liked it a lot. Honestly, I think I like this one like the most in sort of recent Disney things. Disney, Pixar, and like Disney in general. I forget which one this is specifically, if it's Pixar or what, but no, I liked it a lot. I probably like this since like Luca probably was like the last time I really liked something from Disney, Pixar, or just regular Disney. But yeah, very great. Hoppers, super funny. Honestly, want to watch it again at some point, like whenever it comes out on streaming. I'll probably watch it again because I liked it a lot. And then good luck, have fun, don't die. A little disappointed. The director, Gore Verbinski, I really like Rango. I really like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies I've seen from him. And honestly, my biggest takeaway whenever I think about those movies, well, at least specifically for Rango, because I'm a big fan of Rango, is the storytelling. It's so good. You know what I mean? This like sort of like meta commentary and whatnot. And in this movie, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, has a lot of meta commentary. It is talking about like a contemporary society. And the sort of like overusage of technology and how it makes us like become like disconnected, and then also like the ideas of AI, quite abstract in some ways with the concepts of AI. But I think the main thing is like AI's ability to sort of give you whatever you want, but then how that becomes like less, despite it being given to you and it being like real in a sense, right? It's less real than what's actually in front of you. It's less real than like the people that you can actually communicate with. There's a really good, because like the movie and the way it's structured, I think is interesting, and it works to a certain level. But then it just kind of made me feel like I was watching like fucking Black Mirror episodes, basically. Yeah, so I don't know how I felt about that. Like initially I was like, okay. But I think for something like this, maybe a bit more of a traditional storytelling structure would have worked. I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel like some of these ideas are like explored like in the main story, because you have the main story, which is all of them forming up as a team and making this like journey, like literally like a few blocks, like, but they're making the journey to go like stop the creation of AI, before it happens. That's like the A plot, and then you have a B, C, D plot revolving around like each individual character, or like a handful of the characters. You have the two teachers, you have the mom, and you have the girl who's allergic to AI, or the girl who's allergic to technology. So you have like a few small plots going on, and then you have a kind of like D plot, then, or A, B, C, D, I guess an E plot with the main guy. You kind of see his backstory as well, Sam Rockwell's character. So you have all this stuff going on, and it's not balanced poorly. I don't think that's the issue. but it just like at times it just like felt a bit disconnected to me personally, like the fact that they would kind of jump around and obviously like pick and choose when to give you information, sort of thing. But then like the only reason why it kind of bothers me is because it makes certain twists in the movie like super super obvious. There's like maybe two major twists throughout the movie, and it's sort of weird because like they're set up and it's like, okay, that's definitely going to come back later, but I think I already kind of know what the twist is, and then the twist is revealed maybe like a scene or two later, and it's like, okay, well, you know, not that shocking and almost kind of cliched. I don't want to spoil the twist necessarily, because I feel like it'd be so obvious if you just like watch the movie for like 3 seconds. Like, I don't know, just like the way the kind of characters interact, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And then like the very end like twist as well ends up being quite obvious. I mean, again, with like some of the themes I talked about, right, with like AI sort of giving you what you want, the ending becomes very apparent, like what's happening. And then I don't know, I feel like the people I watched this movie with sort of like tainted the experience as well, because I think the conversation surrounding AI would have been really fun to get into, and how it does make you disconnected, and then also a sort of like randomness that comes with its creation, right? Because like obviously that's a bit more of like an abstract kind of theme, and is more so used for humor in the movie. You know, the fact that AI can be random and it does generate these things at like such a scale. You know what I mean? It's sort of impossible to navigate with it a lot of the time. Yeah, but nobody really wanted to talk about it, so who gives a shit? Which is why I'm kind of happy talking about it loosely now. But again, I feel like this is like one of those movies where like if I was watching it at the time again, I would just like want to pause it and kind of deconstruct the stuff, because I do think it is very interesting, and it's presented in like a very like on the nose way, but also in a very sort of like obtuse way as well, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like beating you over the head so much, and doing it with like such a level of like exaggerated humor. There you go. That's the word I was trying to find, like exaggerated. And it hits you over the head with this kind of exaggerated humor that you sort of get the point. But I mean, again, it's weird because then if you're not like really taking it for what it is, you can also like sort of lose the plot very quickly. It's weird in that way, because I was talking to, again, these people about it, and they're like, oh, I didn't pick up on that at all. And it's like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're saying it the whole time. And then again too, because like one of the things about like the technology consumption stuff in the movie is like with the teachers, like their plot, like their thing is this kind of like desensitized like nature, like around the people, right? Like they bring up this idea of school shootings, and you know, like they happen so often, everybody's desensitized to them, but they're desensitized as well because all they do is like look at their fucking phones. The students do. Like the teachers still kind of have a level of like, oh man, this is like so crazy, so sad that these things happen. But then, you know, they look around and all the students like couldn't really care less. You know what I mean? All they care about is, you know, what's going on in front of them on their phones, which obviously, again, like on the nose, right? And then the way it's done in the movie, it's like super exaggerated. Like all the students do is like look down, and you just see like the blue glow, and that's it. And then there's a bit of humor in that too, because what's his name? Michael Pena's character is like a substitute teacher, and he's coming in, and he's like seeing the like allure and the attraction of the technology. And then I guess that's like another sort of like minor bit of commentary as well, just how like attractive and addictive technology is, like for all kinds of people, right? I feel like even if you're aware of like your amount of like media consumption, obviously, if you're aware of these things and maybe like aware of like the amount that you use technology as like a source of entertainment, or like a way to detach yourself of like a bit from reality, how kind of harmful that is. Yeah, but after a while, like it just becomes a thing, you know what I mean? And that's where this like desensitization element comes from. It's just the fact that you become so absorbed with images on a screen that seem more real and seem more entertaining than real life. Because I mean, fucking like real life fucking sucks sometimes, but you know you can't fall for like that kind of temptation. You can't fall for the trappings that it is. You know, so but it's weird. So like a lot of that stuff I found like really interesting and really engaging, and it was making like me like ask these like kind of questions, and then obviously answer them myself. or like try to come to certain answers. But then the movie as a whole, I didn't really gel with it, if I'm being completely honest. Again, with like Gore Verbinski and like Rango specifically, and even with Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of what I like are the action scenes. In this movie, it's more of like an adventure kind of thing, with like light action elements. There's one action sequence which feels like it's like trying to like capture that like magic that Rango has. Just these like very elaborate sort of like action set pieces, right? Like in Rango, you'll think of the final one, obviously, maybe the chase with the hawk, or even the chase for the water in the canyon, or in the gorge or whatever. But all of these things like really elaborate, and there's so much stuff going on, and it's so engaging moment to moment. And this movie has a sequence that's like kind of getting there, but it's I don't think it's explored all the way, and I think it could have been a bit more fun. And these like minor action elements that they're trying to introduce, it felt more kind of low budget, and it felt very much like a kind of like Shaun of the Dead type thing. You know what I mean? They're going for like a real like Edgar Wright feel. So maybe this movie would have benefited from a different director, perhaps. I think. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong. I wonder how bad it looks. I think it looks okay. All right, whatever. But yeah, so that was Good Luck. Have fun, don't die. I watched Bring It On. Funny, whenever I saw the director, I was like, Peyton Reed of Ant-Man fame? Question mark. Yeah, but Peyton Reed, Bring It On. I was familiar with this. I feel like it was one of those movies I probably watched when I was younger and then kind of forgot about. And then somebody here at home was watching it, so I was just watching it along. And no, really, really good. I liked it a lot. There's some stuff that's a bit dated, some language that's a bit dated. But obviously that's a very like external kind of thing. It's not the movie's fault necessarily. It's just like the culture at the time. But it's weird, like watching this, it honestly feels like a kind of PG-13 like Disney thing. Quite simple, like high school drama sort of stuff. But the meta commentary like regarding appropriation, I think is really, really interesting and really well done and well explored. And then it's nice too because like obviously it's about Kirsten Dunst and her character sort of trying to overcome this idea that she appropriated work and essentially appropriated a culture and like through this type of dance of like cheerleading from a like obviously like a in the eyes of everybody else like a sort of lower class demographic, right? African Americans, but basically like her like choreography for her cheerleading was like completely stolen when she didn't know about it from a black school. And then she comes to realize it's like, wow, like they're so talented, but they don't get the recognition they deserve. And, she kind of goes out of her way to try to make it right. And, obviously like good on her, but then it's almost in danger of becoming like a white savior thing. It's like, oh, I'm the white person who's going to fix everything, sort of thing. But then it kind of gets like flipped around because whenever she goes to like try and help and like set things straight with the other cheerleading squad, they kind of like turn her away. They're like, look, we know we're better than you, so we know we're gonna win, and we're gonna get to that competition like how we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool, and then obviously uplifting for like black community stuff, right? The fact that you can do it yourself, I think is better than having like a white person come in and say, oh, I know I was wrong, so let me fix it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? White savior shit. Yeah, so I'm kind of glad that they went in the direction they went with. Very, like, progressive, oddly enough, right? Yeah, but then, obviously the way they end up doing it is they basically crowdfund themselves, you know what I mean? Like, they go to their community, and the community is able to uplift them because, like, they see the talent. And then it's nice, too, because then obviously at the very end, you could have had it been like, the white cheerleading squad actually finally, like, made something original. Yay, so they're gonna win. Nah, they fucking lose, and I'm kind of happy that was the case, because if they ended up winning, I think that would have kind of sunk the whole message. Yeah, no, but solid movie, honestly. And again, just the themes about appropriation were really interesting, and again, like, sort of progressive for the time. I'd say, I don't know, this was like mid to late 2000s, I believe, somewhere around there. Yeah, but very good. Shout out to Gabrielle Union. Uh, but yeah, watched F1. I think my opinion on this movie is like super basic. I think racing stuff in general is quite interesting a lot of the time, like as a sport. Um, it's kind of weird because I think in person it'd be like boring as shit to watch, but in a movie sense, it's always been done very interesting. I think about obviously like a little bit of like Ford v Ferrari. Uh, what's the other major one? Forza. Is it the Forza movie that I'm thinking of? The one with James Harbour in it. I think that's Forza. And then this one, F1. They just make the racing shit like seem so fucking cool, honestly. And like the way it's shot a lot of the time, very fast paced and like actiony and stuff. I think for me, and my major problem with this movie is, I just really don't like Brad Pitt. Honestly, I really don't care much for him. I kind of feel like he's a bit samey in a lot of his stuff, so he kind of drags it for me. But I think a lot of the supporting cast is really good, and then the other main character in it, the guy from Snowfall, I'm blanking on his name, but he's really good, and I like him a lot. Unfortunate, I don't. I didn't look up his name or something like that, so sorry, but. He's very good, and honestly I wish he became a bit more like forefront. It sort of sucks because at a certain moment it looks like they really are pushing him forward, like Brad Pitt's character wants to elevate him in a way, but then the Snowfall kid, he ends up like basically giving it all up so Brad Pitt can have like another moment in the limelight, and it's like, fuck you. I don't know, I just wish it didn't go that way, you know what I mean? I think it would have been really interesting to have like the actual up and comer like do his thing, but then like they sort of try to spin it on it. It's like, oh well, like Brad Pitt's like the old head, you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and like give him a win, right? Because he needs it. And then like the young up and comer is like, hey, don't worry, I'm gonna have like a lot more wins like in my career. And it's like, yeah, but like wouldn't it have been cool to like have this one? I don't know, just shit like that. So kind of tainted for me, but it's like very sort of like. External stuff that I'm thinking about personally, but Antonio Banderas, shout out. Is it no Javier Bardem, there you go. I was thinking about a different guy entirely. I was thinking about Puss in Boots. No, but I mean still, so not like especially great in my mind, but enjoyable when I watched it. Probably won't ever watch it again though. I rewatched House, the Japanese horror comedy. Man, it's weird. Like I watched this when I was younger, and I was like, man, this is like a really weird movie. And I don't think I really got like anything, like what was going on. And then now, I mean, more or less the same. It is a very strange movie. I do find it a bit more funny, and I admire how like absolutely like surreal it is, and like how surreal it like sort of like evolves into. But then also just like a lot of like the smaller choices too, like the way certain like scenes are shot, or like even just like lit and stuff like that. Like a lot of the background stuff, like the sky and all that. Like whenever I say surreal, it is very surreal and dreamlike, like colors used and whatnot. The backgrounds seem almost painted with like really like vibrant like shades of pink and yellow, orange, because there's a lot of like sunset scenes mainly. But there's a shot I like really early on where Gorgeous is having the conversation with her father before she gets introduced to her new stepmother. But it's just like shot through like the window, so like you're like kind of tracking through this like glass glass pane that like has these like little dividers in between, and you're just sort of like tracking it like that, you know what I mean? And you're like just sort of like eavesdropping on this conversation from the window. Just like interesting choice, right? And there's a lot of like interesting choices in this movie, and I feel like if you aren't willing to just like fully engage with it, you'll just think about how like ridiculous it is, and you'll probably find it stupid. But if you really engage with it, it is like immensely entertaining. And again, I think that surreal element of like a lot of what's going on, like obviously to begin with, but with the way things are sort of like shot and edited, it adds this like really like I keep using the word engaging, but it is engaging, this really engaging element to it that like just like drags you in, or drag me in at least. I was like, it was weird. It was really late at night, and I was like having a drink, so I was just kind of putting something to like go to sleep to, and then I just ended up watching the whole movie. Like I was just like that invested. No, so amazing movie, and honestly, I want to rewatch it again just because it's so fun. But like watch it with people so they can kind of like just to sort of see how crazy it is. But no, really, really good movie. I enjoyed it immensely, and then all of, again, just like these sort of like dreamlike elements. Because I believe this movie is from the 70s, and Suspiria, the original one, is from the 70s as well. I believe there's a lot of like Suspiria type of vibes. You know, just like with the use of like vibrant colors and sort of like smaller you know, smaller like sets and whatnot. But yeah, very, very cool movie. There's a bit whenever I was younger, I didn't like really understand like what the fuck was going on, but then this time around I think I picked it up a bit better. They talk about this sort of like other realm where like everybody else is existing after they've died, and whenever Kung Fu is like trying to go destroy the picture of the cat, you know, she gets like sucked up by the lampshade, and like that's how she dies. But she gets sucked up by the lampshade, and you know, like you just like sort of like see her head like floating around like in this other realm. And when I was younger, I didn't understand like what was going on. I was like, what the fuck is even happening right now? But now, like, I kind of understand it for what it is, more or less. Obviously, still very sort of like bizarre and strange and surreal. I just said the same word 3 times. But again, just like something about it, it's like really, really, well, I mean, cool, simply. I don't know. Yeah, but great movie, honestly. The end of the tour. Jesse Eisenberg, Jason Segel. Super simple movie. I tend to really like movies like these where it's like mainly just talking. I watched this like twice. Once like actually watching it, and then the other time just more listening to it, because it's sort of weird the way this movie works. Like you can just like kind of listen to it because it is just conversation between 2 people throughout the whole way. I feel like I have a sneeze coming on. Yeah, but no, obviously me, like I've talked here and there about David Foster Wallace and how much I like him and his writing. Even though I haven't really like read like a lot of it personally, like I've read some snippets, and like a lot of it's really engaging. But then obviously like hearing him read stuff from like interviews or just like interviews in general of him talking, you know what I mean, and trying to get his message across. And I think this movie is incredibly like faithful to who he was. And yeah, like just excellent movie, and there's like these moments of drama and kind of like deconstructing his character, but then also deconstructing Lipsky's, Jesse Eisenberg's character as well, and you know, his idea of fame and being a writer, you know, ideas of success and how that really doesn't bring you happiness. Again, sort of like tapping into this idea that it's like connection with people. And then if you do want to tie your like craft to what you deem as successful, you know, like have your art be able to reach people, I guess is probably the best idea, or you know, the best like kind of compromise, right, for success. If you just wanted monetary success, or you know, you want a type of spiritual success that comes from creation. No, but very good. I enjoyed this movie immensely. Not really going to say much, just going to kind of hold it to myself. But very good. But yeah, that was it for movies. TV, more the same, honestly. Still watching a bit of Martin here and there. Always very funny. Still watching a bit of New Girl here and there. And the Boondocks. I picked up the Boondocks again. I've just been kind of watching it like late at night sort of thing. It just gives me that vibe, you know what I mean? Like back when I was younger and I would stay up late sometimes, and I would just be watching Adult Swim and, you know, seeing the show come on. Again, just like kind of a vibe, right? Yeah, so that's what I've been watching. I like just got to season 2. I finished the episode with Usher in it, where Tom is like kind of having a little dilemma with his wife, and you know. Yeah, but great show. I mean, every single episode just like tackling a different aspect of like African American culture, right? Super interesting. And I mean, it's weird because obviously the show's been out for like a really long time, and you know, people know of it. But man, I really would like to read some of the comic at some point. You know what I mean? And it's weird because I feel like a lot of it is like quite timely, and that's usually how comics kind of are, right? They usually talk about you know, like the culture in moments. And this show definitely talks about the culture like as it was like in the mid 2000s, like early 2010s and whatnot. But again, just like how relevant like a lot of this stuff is, right? Just like dragging in the way things worked in the past and bringing it into a more like modern setting, but then how like obviously the past in that modern setting, which is now the past to us, is still entirely relevant. Obviously, like one of my favorite episodes that I watched recently was I think the episode is just called the itis, but I mean the idea is like it's a light deconstruction on like food in African American culture. Like they talk about what's the movie. I'm blanking on it now entirely. But basically the idea of like the way you know, people in like black communities eat, right? They eat to excess, and the food they eat obviously isn't very good for them, but it's a part of their culture, right? So they take a kind of like ownership over it. If that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like Mexicans are the same way, right? Like we're very proud of the food we eat. But then how that kind of gets like co-opted by white people, right? Because then like in this, it's granddad, he is able to like make this soul food, and Onceler is just gonna like capitalize off it. He's like, oh, okay, people enjoy this and it makes them act a certain way. I'm basically gonna like pay you for the slavery. And I'm gonna make you, you know, make this food. I'm gonna give you like all this stuff, and it like sort of looks like I'm being nice on the surface, but in reality I'm using you, because what he wants granddad to do is have the food, make it, and with it being as addictive as it is, it eventually grows to like tarnish the community, and then it kind of ends up being a metaphor for drugs essentially. And it's sort of on the nose with it too. Like at one point, like Riley takes a bite of the burger, and he's like, man, this is what crack must feel like. You know what I mean? So the soul food ends up becoming a metaphor for the drugs, and I guess like how that eventually ends up like destroying a community. But then also how like white people will come in after like supplying the means of destroying the community, and then buying the community, and you know like profiting more and benefiting themselves only. Again, but like every single like episode is just like layered with so much commentary, and I feel like a lot of the time too, I mean for me at least, right, I'm kind of just like talking about a very surface level, but there's levels to it, man. There really are levels to a lot of this stuff, and especially in the show. But yeah, amazing show. Just been kind of watching it, enjoying it a lot. But that's it for those things. Music, again, just listen to like a lot of music, so I'm just gonna try to run through it. Some of the stuff a bit more intensely than others, and then some of the stuff just more like general shout out kind of things. Honestly, a lot of like rock oriented things, and like instrumental focused stuff, but just starting off the album. The album is called Forward by First Day Back. Sort of like soft rock stuff that has like a bit of energy in places, but for the most part it is quite soft. I don't want to say math rock, definitely not math rock, but just like a softer rock sound. I don't know, like a lot of guitars, kind of like garage bandish, you know what I mean? Like you can imagine like a band in their garage, so like light shoegaze maybe. I don't know. I'm always bad about trying to define this type of rock, because like obviously it's not like heavy, and that's the sort of point I want to get across. It is soft, and that's why I use the word a lot. Yeah, so softer, on the softer side. Personal favorites were Lines, Us, and Sure Okay, which are like soft like all the way through, but then there's other tracks, Upstairs, parentheses 212, which I really liked a lot. Mainly because they kind of blend in like some like more like higher energy bits in this track, but then there's also like a little violin in it as well, which is a bit different, you know what I mean? It's not something you always hear in like rock oriented stuff. And then some other tracks that sort of do the same thing, like blending the idea of like a more like softer tone, but then like a more like energetic like, you know, guitars and drums and whatnot. Wait and Do You Hear That? But yeah, so fun little album, honestly, and I'll probably like go back to it if I just want some like instrumentals. Another album I liked this month was an album called Villa. by Fabiano do Nascimento. Italian, I believe? Question mark. Brazilian, maybe. I'm not sure. But the first track is obviously the highlight. O tempo, parentheses, foi o meu mestre. Yeah, but there's like a lot of like smaller like musical like instrumental themes that are sort of used in that track that like reappeared throughout the album. So it makes the whole album as a whole like really like kind of nice to listen to. And the sound, it is sort of like bossa nova-ish. A lot of these like mixed instruments, strings, like horns and whatnot. Very, very good. I enjoyed it immensely. Again, and just like kind of laid back too, honestly. Like I'm pretty sure it's Italian, pretty sure. But it makes me think of, you know, just like something like a little, you know, when you see those pictures of like places in Europe, these sort of like harbor towns, right? The buildings stacked on buildings that like escalate up hills. You know, that's kind of what it reminds me of, like the vibe you would have there. You know what I mean? Enjoying your like cappuccino on the porch type shit. But yeah, very, very good album. I liked it a lot. Again, just like sort of fun, right? Instrumental. I was listening to Frou Frou, Details, their debut album. My personal favorite being Only Got One. But obviously just like heavy electronic kind of dance album. Sort of in the same vein, because then there's like the female vocals. But like in the same vein as like Imogen Heap, or Imogen Heap. I need to learn how to pronounce it because I want to start listening to her music as well. But I guess like speaking on her real quick, right? Because Pink Panthers and all this attention she's getting at the moment, which very good. Shout out Pink Panthers. But you know, she was doing that interview and she gets like a video call from Emotion Heap, which was really cool. I was like, oh, nice. It's like all these little worlds are colliding for me in this moment. Yeah, but great. So a lot of just like electronica dance with like soft, beautiful vocals thrown in. Great stuff, honestly, and I enjoyed that this month a lot. Again, just really need to get into Pink Panthers big time, and really need to get into Imogen Heap as well. Another like very like instrumentally focused album. A Picture of Her is the band name, and the album is just called C, like the letter C. But yeah, again, same thing, like very soft, purely instrumental. There's moments where there's sort of just like minor like harmonization. It's just like humming and sort of like going along with the vibe. But mainly it is just more of like an instrumental experience. And with albums like these, they're albums I like because I don't need my full focus on them, if that makes sense. I can have them on as background. My friends and where they live, they have like a little like radio thing that also doubles as a as like a record player, but they mainly use the radio, and they just have like classic radio stuff on like in the background, like at all times. You know what I mean? It's just something that like fits the vibe, it fits the environment. And instrumental albums like these always fit the vibe for me, mainly because I just walk around a lot. You know what I mean? And I tend to like stuff that's either like upbeat and ambient, or I guess upbeat and or ambient, and or I don't know, like just like having this kind of emotion tied to them. Maybe a carefree emotion, maybe a kind of emotion for like longing. I don't know, but it always seems to fit when I need it, especially when I'm walking. So I always appreciate it whenever I hear it. Yeah, but I mean, that was just me talking about that album. And that's the thing too, about these albums as well. It's not even that they're particularly good; they just sort of fit the vibe, right? You know, so I just want to shout them out for that. I was listening to Weather Day, their album Come In. Not the biggest fan personally. I listened to it a few times and like really tried to give it a chance, and I just didn't get into it as much as I would have liked, which is weird because it kind of fits like the kind of vibe I'm going for, but it just wasn't really resonating with me in the way I kind of wanted. But you know, still shout out, right? Got to shout out the good and the bad, and even if it isn't necessarily bad, you know what I mean, just still shout it out for what it is. Another small kind of like emo screamo band, Her Love Beheads Daisies is the name of the band, all one word. and then their album Carving Initials. Like I talked a while back about the band Foxtails, and this band is like sort of like in the same vein. They're really good about like mixing these like really like sporadic like intense kind of like screamo stuff with these like wild instrumentations, but then also having these like little softer moments in between, you know what I mean, like calm before the storm maybe, or like finally like centering after having this like outbreak, right? I find the contrast of the two very interesting, and it happens a lot in screamo, I feel like, or at least with the stuff I've been listening to. Again, shout out Foxtails, right? But with this, like I really enjoyed it, and I was listening to it like rather intensely in days. I was just listening to it and enjoying it. Yeah, but then it's really nice too, because then with this, like one of my favorite things about albums, or like I know I really like an album when it has a lot of like cohesion. You know what I mean? Like songs blending into one another, and like like they just kind of have this like consistency in musical themes typically, right? I don't know, because like sometimes I'll listen to albums and it sort of feels like they're all over the place, even if they're by artists that I especially like too. You know what I mean? Sometimes though, like a lot of the tracks are just so disjointed. You know what I mean? Some being very, very good and some not so good. Some being like so drastically different from others, but not in a way that implies like a kind of like contrast, but in a way that implies like a confusion on what was wanted on the project. But my favorites were Empyrean, Ophelia, and a long title, Haunting. Oh no, my bad. Empyrean and Ophelia. But the thing I liked about these is like they sort of have this very like haunting kind of vibe to them. That's where I was getting at. I was like looking at my notes. I was like, what the fuck was I saying? You know what I mean? Sort of. What's the word? I guess that there's like a little like sense of like dread in there somewhere, and like maybe this idea that like something bad is about to happen, sort of thing, right? But I think haunting is the best word for it. But they are rather soft songs. But Ophelia leads like directly into like the title is this: the I See Fire in Her Eyes one. This is the name of the title of the track. But like really intense build up throughout, like just getting to that point like on the album. Very short album too. I believe it's like 40 minutes and it's like 7 tracks. So and then like the last track is like low-key kind of a troll, because it is just like silence for like 5 minutes, and then there's like a little sporadic instrumental thing at the end, and then they start singing Five Nights at Freddy's. But good album. An artist called Ear, the album, The Most Dear and the Future. Again, this one's like kind of instrumental based, but more didn't kill him. But more like on a electronic side, so electronic instrumentation, as opposed to like a lot of the more like simple guitar stuff that I was listening to. So nice again for the contrast. But no, this album kind of rocks, and I want to explore a bit more from this artist. This is another album that's like quite short as well. It's like, again, like maybe 40-50 minutes. Not even, probably shorter, like 30 minutes or something. Like each track, I believe there's like 9 tracks, and each of them are about like 3 minutes long. But the instrumentals on this, and just like a lot of the electronic stuff, I think is so good. I mean, I talked last month about the artist Caribou, and they're kind of in the same vein. I feel like this stuff is a bit darker, like the stuff Caribou was doing, or at least from that project that I heard from Caribou. It was definitely a lot lighter, more freeing, like daytime stuff. This is has like a bit more of like a late night feel, you know what I mean? Just like mellowed out vibe sort of thing. The instrumentals, I think in general, are a bit darker, but not like dark in a kind of like gloomy way, just like dark in a like vibe based sort of way, you know what I mean? But but there's still moments of fun in there, which is quite nice, just like lighter bits of instrumentation. But yeah, but like with those like moments that are a bit like softer and lighter, the thing I like them is that they end up being sort of like spacious and ambient, and I think that's what I mean when I say going from like this dark contrast to like a lighter contrast. Like a lot of the dark stuff seems like kind of like encapsulating and super energetic, yeah, but then the lighter stuff is quite ambient and spacious. Personal favorites were AIM, Theorem, CMYK. But yeah, great stuff. Another album I listened to was called De Solte by Glenda Lorena. I'm just going to use my English. Lorena. There you go. Yeah. So Glenda Lorena. I'm always very embarrassed about talking in Spanish because I think whenever I'm not as conscious about it, I can flow with it like so well. But whenever I am sort of like having to be hyper aware about my pronunciation for certain things, I feel a type of embarrassment. That was complete side tangent, and that was me talking about an insecurity, which I'm feeling now. But the album is called Te Solte. But no, I like this album a lot. Very folkish in its sound. I like the band America a lot, and I usually describe them as like kind of folk, like obviously like rock elements or whatever, or like kind of, I guess like kind of country-ish elements. And this album has the same vibe. Their singing on it is very, very beautiful. They have amazing voices. But then like instrumentally and then like alongside the lyrics, like a lot of the stuff that I was thinking was just was quite nostalgic. I had a very nostalgic feel about this, and like what I was imagining in my head, honestly, it's just like open fields sort of thing. Times long past, I guess, is where the nostalgia comes from. But the instrumentals and the vocals surrounding the instrumentals just gave me this idea of like an open field. You know what I mean? Like kind of like endless possibilities, maybe. But like with a weird sense of like longing, perhaps, for something or someone, maybe like just being in search of something while everything is open and available to you. I don't know, very, very beautiful, very spacious album, and I enjoyed it a lot, and all of it in Spanish. So I guess if you speak Spanish, you're gonna get a lot more out of this than I did, but I think I really just enjoyed it regardless. And like after listening to certain tracks for like a period of time, I was able to like catch on. So I would like voice along with some of the Spanish, and like sing some of it out loud, even though I'm not very adept in my Spanish speaking abilities. I do want to start trying a lot more, and I think last month I said I wanted to start trying a lot more. So this is my my hat being thrown in that realm. But yeah, I think one of my favorite tracks was Logro Entender, or No Logro Entender. But yeah, so this is one of the ones I was talking of, where it just kind of makes me think of like an open landscape, right? It's a super soft thing, but there's a build up to it, and it begins to sound like rather adventurous. And with the vocals behind it, it just like builds on those ideas that there's this like escalation, like a sort of rising action. I thought it was a very, very good song, and a very good album onto its own. So again, that's Te Solte by Glenda Lorena. I wanted to do my shout outs actually, but I think I'm going to talk real quick about Scaring the Hoes, the director's cut. I said I was listening to a lot of JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, and this is an album that I heard at the time, just like the bass version, not the director's cut version. But I sort of listened through it one time. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But then, so this is just like a revisit for me. And on this director's cut, there's so many tracks that I just like a lot. Like the opener. I'm blanking on what it's called now, but what is it? Is it literally just like Guess What, We Backhoe, right? But man, like just like so much energy, and that's what I liked about like a lot of the extra tracks on here. I'm not sure some of the favorites that I listed are the extras, but even from like what I remember of the bass album has some great tracks, and some of the extras on here, like Fentanyl Tester, I think that's probably on the bass. But yeah, just like Danny's whole verse is super funny and energetic. My favorite lyric is like whenever it's kind of like on the breakdown, he's like, now I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. Just tell your life, don't tell no lies, just tell your truth. But then it's basically just like leading up off that rhyme scheme. But the line I like a lot is I'm a big dog like Marmaduke. Just funny. Obviously, if you don't know, Marmaduke is a comic dog. I'm pretty sure, like he originated from a comic, but he's just like a really big Great Dane. That's literally it. But again, just with Danny and the way he raps, he has a lot of these like punchlines, and a lot of them are very funny. But he's really good at rhyming. I mean, literally as simple as that. Really good at rhyming, and like really good at like curving words to like make them rhyme a bit better. Or just like also like curving his like inflection a bit to fit the rhyme more. But yeah, very very good stuff, and I like that track a lot. Orange Juice Jones, again, just like super energetic track. I really enjoyed how JPEG Mafia kind of jumps in there, like on the initial, and then Danny's verse is also like really energetic and like super hype, man. Yeah, and then obviously right now with JPEG Mafia, he's kind of having like a lot of controversy surrounding him, and rightfully so in some ways. But man, like you can't deny he's a really good producer. And I've talked before about how much I enjoy his production, a lot of his instrumentals, and like the way he raps tends to be very cool. Even though like some of what he's saying is like whatever a lot of the time, right? But like that shit just sounds cool whenever he's saying it on these like very like different type of beats. Yeah. But this one's really cool. Orange Juice Jones was the one I was talking about. But yeah, but like both their verses, and that's the thing I like about this album too. Since it is like a collab album, it does feel very collaborative. Like obviously like JPEG Mafia is working more on the production side. But I do like that how they kind of split up the song and like jump in and out of each other like whenever they do, and either like maybe like one will lead on one track and the other leads on the other sort of thing. But I like that the way they go back and forth with each other. Very good. And then the track 2, no. It literally is just like a bunch of no's like all together. I'm pretty sure that's what the track is called, but it's like towards the end, maybe like third to last track, fourth to last track. But that's the one where not JPEG Mafia, where Danny Brown kind of has this moment where it would sort of sound like kind of loungy, like maybe he's like on stage and like the music has like died down, but he ends up doing a kind of like freestyle, like little rap. But again, man, his flow, immaculate. And then the closer I like a lot too is Roaches. Again, the production is so good. Like a bit weird, but like super fun, energetic. And I mean, like I keep using those words a lot, but yeah, like and then the way Danny jumps in, again, just like really hyped. It's like that shit just gets me hyped up. And then JPEG Mafia on this as well is really good with his intro, which is sort of like a verse that he reuses. And I laid down my life for you. I'm blanking on the track specifically, but he does reuse the verse, and it sort of like has like a whole different meaning to it, I feel like. And this one, it seems like super like celebratory in the way he uses the verse in I laid down my life for you. With that one, it almost seems like he's kind of like saying these things as a way to like kind of like defend himself or like show like how far he's come. I don't know, but like both of them are like very different like contextually, but I feel like in this and the way it's used, it's like such a good way to close off this collaboration album. But then also Roaches too, just like the dead end of a blunt, right? So kind of like double meaning. But then with Danny Brown's verse, like he talks about roaches and like how like they used to be broke and stuff like that. So you would literally see roaches. You know what I mean? So like little layers to the track, I think. But yeah, great album. And then this is the album that I teased in the last video, but Stardust, Danny Brown. Fucking love this album this month. I listened to it so much. I think on the whole, the album is very good. I enjoy the album a lot. There are some tracks that, maybe at times I'm not feeling as much. But again, on the whole, I think they're so necessary. And they usually end up serving as like good like little appetizers for like the more like meatier tracks, in my opinion. Like obviously I talked about Copycats, which is on this album, which I like a lot. But like some other ones I like a lot too. I Love My Life, but that one has a fentanyl in it, and it's funny because I think Danny Brown did a shout out to fentanyl like a while back. So it's kind of cool that they finally worked together in this. Some other tracks that I like too, What You See, which ends up being a bit more like a ballad. Like definitely one of the slower tracks on the album. But you know, just like kind of talking about like Danny Brown's like kind of lust addiction, like the way he like viewed relationships and women, and like I guess even like drugs to a certain extent, right? And you know, using these things to like cope with the kind of sadness he felt, and you know, just like sort of losing himself in those things, right? Very, very deep, man. I feel like there's a couple tracks in this that are intensely deep, but then again, that contrast of having like these like this like deeper lyricism, while having like these like hyper pop and like glitch core type aesthetics on top of it, it's super interesting, man. And then again, just like a testament, I guess, to like good production. So shout out to like all the producers on this, you know, all the artists who worked with Danny Brown, and then just Danny Brown himself, man, just like so willing to do things that are different. And you know, I've talked about his voice before, and like how like in the past I didn't really like it, but it really lends itself well to stuff like this, stuff that is so different in the kind of like rap genre. Let me see if there's any other tracks I wrote. Oh yeah, but this is like another like tie-in type thing, but not that I especially like this track, but Green Light, Frost Children, which Howder Nemery worked with. So I don't know, just kind of interesting. Again, another like world being brought in with Howder Nemery. But I mean, it's kind of sour too, because I heard she had a bad experience working with him, but that's not a here nor there. But then again, like two favorite tracks, The End and All For You. I think I talked about both of these when in that last video. But man, these two as the closers, amazing. Truly just like transcendent shit, man. Like a lot of the lyricism in it. And then I guess speaking about lyricism too, going back actually to what you see, you know, but Danny Brown also giving like shout outs, like he gives a shout out to Snoop Dogg again, just like on an idea like how he would have viewed women, and then he also gives a shout out to Outkast. He references Sorry Miss Jackson, again, this idea about like using women, right, to sort of like satisfy something in you, you know what I mean? But obviously that's not really like a very healthy way to cope. No, but with The End and All For You, man, I like it so much, because like the more I learn about Danny Brown and you know the way he like faced like addictions like in the past, and like what he's been doing to like, you know, sober up and just be a better person, right, for himself obviously, and you know the people he loves in his life, but then also like for his fans, man, that means a lot. And I'll say now, like, you know, like I used to just listen to him, like, you know, here and there very casually, and kind of had a mixed opinion on him. But again, like the more I hear him, and the more I listen to his music, the more I really like him, and the more I feel like I can kind of say like I'm a fan at this point. So I really like these two songs as the closer. Again, just like talking about an appreciation for your life, you know, like admitting to the mistakes in your past, yes, but then, you know, like showing that you're very willing to grow and move past them. Again, being a better person for yourself first and foremost, but then also doing it as like a labor of love, like to the music you love, yeah, but then also to the people who've supported you the whole way through, right? Like even when you were kind of down, right, man, and you know, just like the fans and the way they've supported Danny Brown. So I feel like these two tracks are just such a love letter, you know, just to music in general, love letter to himself, and a love letter to the fans. Again, man, it meant a lot. And I really enjoyed listening to it. And then I like the idea of the last track called All For You, because again, like layered in a sense in my head and the way I'm thinking about it. Again, talking about all these things, like with the repetition of and I'll do this all for you. You know, that can be a lot of things. And to me, it could be, again, like Danny Brown talking about the music industry, you know what I mean? Like it's like he owes so much to it. So he's doing, you know, all of this, like, you know, for the music. He's doing all this again for himself, like talking about how far he's come, and like kind of celebrating the fact that he's better now. But then, you know, like All For You, again, like tied into this idea of like the betterment, but like the past version of himself. Like he's doing it for the version of himself that was like, you know, so low, like emotionally, and, you know, being tied up with drugs and whatnot, you know what I mean? So he's doing it for that past version and becoming better. But again, it ties into like being like, you know, all of this being done for himself, but then again for the fans, right? like him becoming better is done in love for the fans. It's done in love for music and done for a love of himself. But very, very good. I love this album a lot. And there's a couple other tracks that are really, really good as well. And I think this is an album that's really going to stick with me for a while. I just really enjoy it. And then obviously, since I am kind of getting a bit more into like hyper pop and more like electronic genre stuff, it just kind of hit at the right time, right? I think I said like a long while back that like hip hop stuff and, you know, rap has like always been like a large part of like the stuff I listen to. But I like to jump around, and I like whenever rap can like blend like so well into different genres and like different like instrumentals. But yeah, so great album again. Stardust, Danny Brown. But yeah, so shout outs, just like small tracks that I was listening to that I really liked a lot. So this is another like instrumental track. It's funny because I was playing a lot of like Mirror's Edge this month, and that game sort of has like music attached to it that's like very like ambient core sort of stuff, right? Very spacious. Yeah, but this kind of falls into that vein, to that same vein. The track is called Slow Down, It's Not a Race, by Tom C. Bumps with the Z at the end. But yeah, so just ambient, like a little glitchy towards the end, but very, very good. So sort of in line as well with like some of the instrumentation off the Tron Ares album as well, right? So 9 Inch Nails. But yeah, very good track. Again, Slow Down, It's Not a Race by Tom C. Bumps with a Z. Another track, IDK. Or the artist is called IDK. The track is called Stigma, all caps, but the I is lowercase. But yeah, so this is like a jungle breakcore with like some vocals in it. Pretty energetic. The only thing I can think of when I was listening to it, I guess, is like drill music a bit. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the genre, but there's an idea of like how you know, like artists will like rap on like a drill beat, or like how like drill music is like kind of orchestrated. That was making me think about it. I'm probably completely wrong, and if you listen to the track, you probably won't just like call me an idiot for being completely wrong, but that's like kind of what I can most attribute it to. Again, I got a lot to learn, but pretty cool track instrumentally, and the vocal stuff was really cool too. Artist Constant Deviance, the track Feel That, New York style rapping, super simple with drums, but like the backing track is like super like electronic and ambient. It kind of reminded me of like a like N64 type of game, or like Atari sort of game. These like sort of like beeps and bloops. Very, very cool. But again, man, but like that New York style of rap, man, like all of that's so cool. Again, like mainly for like a flow thing, right? You think about rap, rhythm and poetry, and you know, like poetry flows, you know, so it makes sense that whenever people are rapping and they're just like really into it, it just flows so well. And obviously like a lot of like the vocal and like cadence stuff is really like attractive to listen to for my ears. So shout out to that. Band called Endive, 10,000 Dead Roses is the name of the track. Super soft. There's some like soft vocals as well, like spiced in. But again, this is just like a single that I heard that was quite nice. Another track, Wishing by Edo G, or Edo.G. Again, since I was watching the Boondocks, they used this track in the episode with Martin Luther King. You know, like Huey's dream that Martin Luther King is still alive, and what would be the reality of that situation. But they used this track called Wishing. Very, very good. I love this track so much. It's one of those songs that I listened to and I just like kept listening to like time and time again, just really absorbing like a lot of the lyrics. Yeah, but featuring Pete Rocks and Master Ace, and each of them get their own little verse. And then I like the way they end their verses too, where, you know, it's like, yeah, you can call me crazy, I'm a dreamer. Again, because I mean, like what's, you know, this like this song is basically what, like, Imagine by John Lennon like wishes like his fucking song was. Like this is like the real shit right here, honestly. And again, like going back to why I think like the way they end their verses is so important. is because it's like what's so crazy about wishing for a better world, right? What's so crazy about dreaming for a type of harmony amongst people, dreaming for peace, you know, and then the culture surrounding it, and then like people in power just like want to push everybody down, and it's sad, and they end up doing such a great job about creating animosity between between all of us, and then just becoming so like down by like the destruction of communities, and the destruction of people, innocent people who don't deserve it at all, and the people in power just keep getting away with it. But again, with like a lot of the lyricism, just super timely and super relevant to everything going on today. I believe it's the final verse where they're talking about George Bush starting World War III, or like potentially starting World War III. And I mean, again, just like look at it the way it is now, right? Trump and his regime, and them starting potentially trying to start a World War III again, just out of selfishness and hatred, and it sucks. But there's some really nice flows in this, obviously, just like classic hip hop stuff, and little samples from Martin Luther King spiced in with like the Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka, "We're the Dreamers of the Dream." But yeah, very 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 hopeful song. Hopeful, obviously, for like the African American Black community. Just so the culture, right, and their culture, but then also, for me being Mexican, man, I feel like I resonate and really empathize with a lot of the struggles of like other minorities as well. So it was nice on that front as well, just like just being kinder to each other, right? And I believe it's the second verse too, talking about like an animosity between like Black and brown people, but how like we kind of need to put that aside, and just be together and see eye to eye better. But yeah, great track. I loved it a lot. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Honestly, not as long-winded as I thought it was going to end up being. I feel like it's because I really just tried to narrow down and focus on certain things. But yeah, April, good month overall, man. I'm just like trying to be better about like detaching and protecting my peace and stuff like that, because dude, I was reading Tuesdays with Maury. I think I mentioned that at one point. But yeah, so I'm reading Tuesdays at Maury, and a lot of what that book says is just like super resonant with me personally, because it's just been the stuff I was thinking about for so long. So it's nice to I mean, like, essentially just be like in an echo chamber and hear the thoughts that I thought laid out so much more eloquently than I could ever think or even say out loud. But reading that book has been a great joy, and I'm very happy to kind of talk about it here soon, hopefully. I still need to kind of buckle down and talk about my birthday and being 25, because I still have a lot of thoughts about that. I don't know, just thoughts that make me kind of sad, which is why I've been so like apprehensive about it, but also realistically just like a bit of laziness. Yeah, I don't know. Confusing times, I guess, and a confusing time, I guess, to be born and to be 25 and to exist at all, really. But without a doubt in my mind, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy, and that I have like the kind of privileged life that I have, and I'm very happy that I can just sit around and enjoy a day and sit around and enjoy my life. I obviously throughout the month still struggled with the idea of being lonely, but I've been better at finding a lot of happiness in being alone, right? And I feel like that's the sort of like balance with it, right? Two sides of the same coin sort of thing. But yeah, I again, just like being better about like protecting the peace. Obviously with like Buddhism, and the idea of like love and detachment, or love and attachment, and then detaching from that, right? Just being better at that, being better at recognizing whenever, despite me being alone, me feeling lonely, and how that like sinks me. But then recognizing the emotion, sitting with it, and in some respects appreciating it for what it is, right? I don't think it's entirely bad to feel lonely. I don't think it's entirely bad to feel sad. But I got to stop letting that kind of control me and control the way I view myself and view other people to an extent. But mainly how I use that to view myself, making it seem like I'm like, I don't know, like inferior or like less deserving in ways. But yeah, so still kind of tackling with that, but I'm getting better at recognizing whenever I'm feeling like that, accepting it for what it is, and then detaching from the emotion and going back to being very happy being alone. Because I quite am like very happy, just being able to like just do my own thing lately, and some of the stuff I'm doing is very in line with how I feel, and I feel like it's right. But man, there's times too where I'll kind of like betray myself, not even like a little bit, but like a lot of bit, and I'm not being a very good friend to myself, and I start beating myself up about it. So yeah, I got to stop doing that. I got to stop with the self-hate talk. But no, April all around, great month. Very excited for May. But yeah, that's that. See ya. Take care.